Are you now or have you recently been experiencing burnout as a leader? Have you ever wondered what it would look like to actually change the world with energy to spare? Do you feel like we live in a culture that rewards hustle and you are ready to reframe rest and energy management as a powerful strength and a leadership tool instead of viewing it as an area of weakness? Listen, if any or all of those questions resonated with you, then this is your episode. This is designed for you. And I have the perfect, and I mean perfect guest to help lead this conversation. What's good, Elevation Nation, and welcome to the Elevate It podcast, where it stands for inner tugging, that divine pull within that is guiding us in self-awareness and relationships and spiritual unfolding through inner work. I am your host, Christian F. Johnson. Now let's go. Listen, I have a very, very special guest, and she is an award-winning presenter with 25 plus years of experience delighting and challenging audiences. She has held leadership roles with national nonprofit organizations and investment advisory firms and in higher education administration. She has been coaching since 2016 and has an energy and a passion that is illuminating and is changing lives all over the world. She is the founder of Burnout Proof Leaders, a holistic leadership development practice focused on high-performing, purpose-driven millennial and Gen Z leaders. And she is here. Somebody can type that in the comment section. Here with us today to help us talk about burnout proof leading and changing the world with energy to spare. Elevation Nation, please help me welcome my new friend to the Elevated Podcast, Dr. Katherine M. Sauer.
Hello. Oh my goodness. Are you available to be my full-time hype squad? Because 100%. I need it. I mean...
Just fly me in and we can go ahead and let's go. Wherever you need, let's go.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. Hello to all of your listeners and viewers. It is a pleasure to be here with you today.
Oh, thank you so much for your time, for your energy, and I mean it. See, Elevation Nation doesn't know. As soon as we met, I personally was at a place of burnout. As a matter of fact, that was one of our conversations on our Get to Know You call, when I'm like, listen, I get it. You know, in the business, in our personal world, and ministry for me, within marriage, is everything. I have twins that are 16, 11-year-old. We're married. We got family. All those things are going on. And so when we met, I was like, listen, what do you have for this burnout proof? Seeing you on LinkedIn, and I am so elated. I'm so in awe of your passion, of your transparency, your willingness, your care. So thank you. I'm excited about what it is that we will be learning as a first partaker as it relates to this episode. So thank you, Doc.
Absolutely. And I just think how we met was so special. And I want to highlight that here for your nation. I was looking for folks that also serve emerging leaders and millennials and Gen Z. And I came across your profile and I think I just sent you like a cold DM and was like, hey, and we just started vibing and we hopped on a call. And so I say that just so folks know, reach out, like whatever, right? If someone looks interesting and you feel like you want to have a conversation, just do it.
Yes.
Here we are now.
100%. We're here and building relationship. You had, it's an honor for me to be able to read my newest book. You've given feedback, the programs and things that you are doing. Not only am I a fan, but I've been registered. So look, Elevation Nation, before we even get to the conversation, you guys know I try to build relationship with who we bring on, but I'm telling you, just even energetically, heart and mind and passion, anything that Dr. Katie puts out, I'm asking y'all to check it out. And even there's buzz that there's a book coming out as well. At least that's what your site says. So I don't know if we can talk about that or not, but
Oh, maybe. We'll see if there's time at the
Oh,
end. We've got other great
okay.
stuff to dive in and focus on.
Okay, all right. So let's get right to it then, Elevation Nation and Dr. Katie. All right. So let's start with your story. I want to know what led you to focus on burnout proof leadership. Like, and what's the mission for you personally that's connected to that?
Yeah. So during the pandemic, I was an executive at a national nonprofit. It was actually my dream job at the time. Was going wonderful. It was, high responsibility, high pressure, tons of travel. This was all pre-pandemic. It was the kind of job where I might hop on a plane for a 4-hour plane ride for a 1-hour meeting, right? This is pre-pandemic, so we didn't have all the Zoom yet, right? Anyway, so during the pandemic, everything changes, everything shuts down. I'm still in this role. And I think like a lot of people really started to think about, what do I truly want to be doing with my time? What am I truly doing here in this lifetime? And I've changed jobs a bunch of times in my career, as you mentioned in my intro. So I'm always reflective and evaluating if this is where I'm supposed to be spending my skills. And I really realized it was time to step back from that particular role, and was time to lead in a new way where I could reach back and like really help this next generation of leaders coming up behind me. And what that meant for me was I wanted to combine everything I knew to this point about leadership skills and experience and practice with all of the methods and techniques and tools that I had amassed over the years to support myself in my career. So, in terms of well being and nutrition and sleep and
Yeah.
metaphysics, just all of it. And throughout my career, I've been through cycles of burnout and recovery. I'm an academic by training, so I love research. I love evidence. When I learn something, I go deep. I often get a certification in it. And I, super nerd right here, just like huge. Um, and even if it wasn't burnout and recovery, there are times in leadership where you're leveling up your skills. You're in a new role. It's new and demanding. And as we get older, not even older, but you just progress, your life is more complicated. And so life and work continually are, I don't want to say at odds, but they need new ways of fitting together. So that was sort of the premise of this, was like, how can I just combine everything I know, my background as an educator, my training as a coach, to
Mhm.
bring something really needed at this time. And I was also doing a lot of spiritual exploration at the
Mhm.
time. And I came to be aware that I have a soul contract in this lifetime to
Mm.
help the right people get into the right leadership positions and
Wow.
thrive there.
Wow.
So for me, it's the practical, plus it's like one of my missions here. And
Mhm.
so I created Burnout Proof Leaders, and our ethos is really to help the high ambition, the mission driven, I usually say millennial and Gen Z leaders, and we
Mhm.
provide holistic leadership development. So
Mhm.
for us, that's your exceptional modern leadership and your life well lived. They
Yeah.
absolutely go together. So it's equal parts leadership skills like you would traditionally think of, cutting edge ones as well, like embodied leadership and intuitive intelligence.
Mhm.
And then it's the inner work on your values and your motivations and your fears. And then it's the more traditional well-being, but then it's across body, mind, emotions, and spirit.
Powerful. 100%. 100%. Elevation Nation, y'all should be snapping, clapping, sending emojis out there just because you should hear the area of the alignment, right? Two different worlds, but still with a similar purpose. I love what she said, that soul contract, because for me, as you guys know, but I'll share with Dr. Katie as well of her audience that, listen, it hit me with the creatives, I'll call it, us, coming up in this world and releasing our isness, our power, our energy in this earth. When it came to mentorship, when it came to identifying with it, it seemed to be at a point in place where people were trying to shove the creative in the box. Like, I don't know what to do with this type of person. They don't want to do this. They don't want to do that. And so it's just refreshing to hear somebody say, look, there is a heart and passion. I've been there. I've done that. I've got the t-shirt. I'm still unfolding. I'm still developing, but I realize that it's not just about building my brand and who I am. As a matter of fact, a part of building my brand and who I am is pouring out who I am so the next generation and those have come, they can continue to be who they are, right? Not necessarily changing who we are to perform. You read the book. I'm really presence based, and I love that soul aspect of it. So thank you so much for your work. Thank you for your light. Thank you for your leadership and Elevation Nation. Hopefully, you are at that place of realizing, look, it's power. Listen what she said. She said to look within. Does that sound familiar? We have to look within. So let's continue to do that and change this world with that energy to spare. Matter of fact, I got that specifically from you, that change the world from energy to spare. That's powerful. What does that look like practically, everyday leadership? What does that look like?
Yeah, it really has the emphasis on your well being as a leader, as a person. And there is evidence based research to back this up, that it is holistic. It is mind, body, spirit, and emotions. They all matter. And so I think of this as performance and preparation. So I don't necessarily, there's a lot of baggage around rest. And I'm a high achiever, high octane person. I rebelled against rest for a long time because rest sounds boring and like a thing I don't want to do. I have two modes, it turns out. I have cheetah pace, where I love to perform all out 100%. I am bored if I have to like throttle myself back. But I've had to learn you can't run at cheetah pace forever, because what is the other thing that cheetahs do? They hang out under a tree in the savannah, and they're very content to do it. So for me, a reframe was first like finding what cadence I actually work at and working within that. And then second, I like to reframe rest as preparation. And then it can look like a whole lot of things. So I'm either performing or I'm preparing to perform.
That's good. Performing or preparing to perform. So the preparation, what does that kind of look like?
Oh, let's see. In terms of, we'll call it rest, we'll call it energy management, right? Those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So for everybody, your cadence and your rhythm is going to be a little bit different. And you need to figure out, do you like to run full out and then take it easy? Like, are you kind of an extreme cycle like I am? Or is your wave a little more modulated? And so just being in inquiry with yourself and really maybe test things out. What if I go really hard? Do I then recover pretty well with just some plain rest? Or am I not really recovered? And should I go a little less hard, but then I need a little less downtime to recover, right? So just kind of what's your wave look like?
Yeah,
and that's
good.
Through trial and error. And that's through inquiry, I would say. The other thing is there's the key physical practices that you really cannot get away from. And that's, movement, sleep, the right nutrition for your body. And there are many paths and many ways to those. So I'm not going to, preach one particular one, but you have to have quality sleep and you have to figure that out. And there's a lot of tools and techniques that can help you figure it out. And maybe you only need 5 hours of sleep, but chances are you need more. And you don't, and you haven't admitted it to yourself. And I had insomnia for 35 years of my life, starting when I was a baby. I legitimately was a terrible sleeper. So I've been resistant to all the things and like finally found my way out of it. But the basics you cannot skirt physically.
No, that's so good. That's so good. And not everything will work for everybody.
Oh no. No. Anyone that's selling you the one-stop solution. One of my mantras is your mileage may vary. And I would try that on for anything, anyone, any framework anyone is telling you, any mental model that's out there, all of it really you have to take and like try on and see if it works for you at this time and in this phase.
I love it. I love it. For me, like rest is funny because when you think about it, my mother is, as soon as you say the word, I think of her because my mom is the type, love you if you're watching this episode, I appreciate you, but she's the type and she'll say, hey, Christian, baby, you look tired. And I'll be like, okay, mom, thanks for the compliment. So you just tell it like it is and come from that area,
Ooh,
right? And
she's your
she could
mirror.
always
She's holding it up.
she always sees it, and she knows that we go a lot and we do what we do. But I had shared with her, I've shared with my clients, and I'll share with you now that for me, it seems as though when I want to rest, and there's various types of it, like you're saying, but I realized that whenever I would just totally stop everything, I set myself up for nightmares, lowness, depression tries to creep in, and just different things like that that would hit me. So I realized for me, I said, okay, when I want to go to an area of rest or anything, like I need a good 4 days, like minimum to really, like, really totally un just clock out. And as a matter of fact, in the summer, Lanisha and I, my wife, we take a month where it's really about rest and it's really about, just family and connection and doing those things. But on a weekly basis, I'm realizing, okay, maybe I can do something that is more mental, but physically I'm at rest. Or another day, I want to actually do something that is not, I don't have to think about it, but I can kind of do some physical movement. And for me, that kind of worked. And I would explain it to people, and it's like, well, that's not kind of rest. I'm like, well, I don't know what rest is for you, but it is not just being still and not actually doing nothing. I sleep, I do those things, but meditation for me is an area and posture of rest. Visualization, prayer, reading sometimes, walking in an area of nature. Again, I'm doing something, but it's so restful for me just to even connect with nature, sitting down on my deck, on my back porch, looking at different things like that. So I don't know what your perspective is on that. Would love to hear you, but how does that sound? Am I
Oh,
resting, Doc?
100%. 100%. And there's some great infographics out there that talk about, like, I think the 7 different kinds of rest. So exactly what you're saying. So if, like, you're mentally drained, the way to rest your mind might be a hard workout, right? And if you've been going really hard physically, the way to rest your body, well, is less. It might be like a gentle walk is actually still rest.
Wow.
Sitting in nature, meditating, any different kinds of things. So I'll see if I can find an infographic just to send to you, because there's like mental rest and spiritual rest and emotional rest, and sometimes rest looks like meeting up with friends that make you laugh. That can
So good.
actually, you come away and you're like, I feel so much more energy even though I did a thing, but it's rest from whatever my energy really was focused on before that had been depleted, let's say, over
P-
time. So
Powerful.
100% what you're saying.
I love what you're saying because you're making me think about there's times like, yeah, I'll go on even like the spiritual side of this. Like there's times when maybe I had 4 hours of sleep per se, okay? But then I can do something and just energetically, like I'm like, I feel like I had 10 hours of sleep and there's just something that takes place. So I love the fact that we're talking about some of these things. Yes, we need the physical rest. We're not saying that you just need to go ahead and grab something else. Get your physical rest, get your sleep, do those things. But I think we need to be very aware of what works for us. Before I started coaching, I was in special needs education for 10 years. And we would do preface assessments for special needs. And we kind of would say, okay, this is what you're reinforcing to you. And it would change with them. Sometimes they would want a Skittle, or sometimes they might want a walk or a 5 minute break on a game or whatever. It all changed, but it would be able to be according to their preference that we were assessing. And so I
Mm.
think sometimes in real life, we would need to process and just say, what is it that right now is the preference to help me to rest or assess whatever needs to be doing? It's connected to the inside, but it's the outward manifestation and demonstration. And I do believe that that's a spiritual component that rest is something that happens supernaturally within ourselves and scientifically and physically. All of it works together for us to continue to be. And I don't think there's any form of AI that's going to go ahead, and I love AI, trust me, but it doesn't replace what has been designed in our coding and our divine coding so that we can go ahead and do what needs to be done here in the earth. What's your thoughts on that?
I love that. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's really about finding the right portfolio of activities that you can draw from at various times. There's an analogous version of this. I don't know if you've heard of a dopa menu.
No.
It's, how do you get your dopamine hits? And it's like, I only I'm feeling, whatever. So how can I get my dopamine hit in 2 minutes? And maybe it's 2 minutes of breathing, or maybe it's 2 minutes of cute animals on your phone instead of doom scrolling. Oh, I have a half an hour. What's on my dopamine menu? Oh, I have a whole weekend. So it's kind of
Yeah.
similar to that. It's less about just the dopamine hit and more about, yeah, what can I do to feel a little bit more centered in my person if I only have 5 minutes, if I have a half an
100%.
hour. And I think
Hmm.
too that what's useful to know is which of these are, non-negotiables is a phrase that's out there a lot these days. And so, for me, I often get in the zone of writing and working toward the end of the traditional workday, and I often don't want to stop. But I have now, through trial and error of many, many decades, know I need to stop and I need to move my body. And so for me these days, I love dance fitness. That's one of my cardios. And so I do a dance fitness class and I do a yin yoga class, even though everything in me is like, just keep writing. You're in the zone. You're in the flow. Keep going. You love this. You love this. And I do. I literally could probably just write all night. But if I want this long, sustainable career of high octane output and impact,
Yeah.
I have to mediate myself. And on a daily
Hmm.
basis, it is a fight. When my alarm goes off at 5:05, saying it's time to change clothes and go to dance. And it's ridiculous because it's basically every day where I'm like, oh, no. But then of course I want to dance and I love to dance, but I fight myself every day, even knowing better and knowing all the things I know.
Wow, I love that, Doc, because so many of our listeners, and myself included, are the emerging listeners. I mean, emerging listeners, emerging leaders, and juggling passion and purpose and pressure. So even when it comes to burnout, you're on that healthy side and seeing that. But I want to know, for those who are listening and their experiences, or maybe they're kind of saying, I'm not sure if this is burnout. What are some early signs that burnout is creeping in, even if we don't actually feel burnt out yet?
Yeah. So most achievement oriented, purpose driven folks operate burned out for a very long time. Because in their mind, in my mind, used to be, it was really, you weren't burned out until you hit a wall and crashed. But
Wow.
burnout is actually, well, clinically, it's this cluster of three kinds of symptoms. And it's, you're sort of depleted on a regular basis in some way. You have some cynicism creeping in. So, and you feel a little bit less ineffectual at your professional achievements. And so I think the depletion is
Ooh.
self explanatory. But the cynicism, this is where you're feeling a little bit more negative about your work. So sometimes maybe you're seeing, hypocrisy at work, things aren't fair. There's just this crushing stress that never goes away. They lead you on. Um, and then when it comes to, being having a little less efficacy as a professional, it's you're not doing your best work and you know it. And whether that's
Ooh.
because of a time constraint or a budget constraint or too many priorities, that like really starts to grate on you because if you had the time, you could really do this well. But it's sort of
Mm.
like systematically over time. So when those three things, when you notice any one of those, you're definitely in burnout territory, and certainly all three. And in a minute, we can talk about like some more subtle things, but I'll toss it back to you for your reaction on that.
No, no, yeah. Doc, I was feeling good. I felt like I was getting through some burnout things, and then you want to go ahead and give me those three, and now I'm kind of thinking it through again, Doc. So yeah, Elevation Nation. I know I try to keep it real and be honest, but yeah, I can see that. And sometimes just in family and joking, we can be sarcastic and we can do things like that. But I can remember being in an office. I can remember being, speaking. And yes, when I get up and do what I do, I'm excited when I do it and I deliver. But I tell you, that view sometimes shifts, and it's like, you know what? Sometimes it's frustration, feeling underappreciated. I spoke on Sunday and I talked a little bit about, just having a different mindset about pain and how we're moving forward. And I had to really like process some of the stuff, the inner pain, the thoughts, kids, like I said, business, ministry, all those things. And the truth is, yeah, there is still some signs of burnout. and life starts lifing at times, Doc. Like sometimes you can't control some of the stuff that's happening. And of course, you always have a choice. Hands down, I understand that. But when it's family, when it's children, when it's things that are really near and dear to your heart, a lot of times you'll take on that burnout or know that you're going that direction, and you just feel like, I call it like the savior complex, where you're like, no, I have to go ahead and be there, and I have to go ahead and do that. And it's hard too, but the truth is, I think, and you can back me up because you have the degrees on this stuff, and I'm just speaking from my essence and my coaching. But I feel like it's actually when it feels like you're not supposed to step away, we probably should step away. I know it feels like, no, I have to, but I heard a leader say this to me, and then I'll pull back. He said, how dare you be so selfish? And I said, what do what do you mean? And it wasn't just me directly, y'all. Y'all have heard this story before, but it was in a conference setting. He said, you're so selfish that you won't get the rest that you need so that you can share your gift at 100% versus robbing us from your full unfoldness and who you are. And you're giving us 15, 20, 25%. So I know we feel like we're doing a whole lot, but if we're leading in frustration, if we are, spent, so to speak, then we have to do some things that take care of ourselves. That we plug up our phone when it goes below 50%, 20%. Well, some of us, we actually ride it until it's burnt out, right? But not for long. So let's treat our bodies better and our minds. Go ahead, Doc.
Oh, I love that. I love that. A couple things came to mind while you were saying that. Well, so burnout starts as like one of its little precursors is when we start making compromises with ourselves. So to your point there, it's like, oh, I want to do this for this person or this responsibility or this goal that I have, and they're all wonderful things, but does that really mean I should skip my workout? Does that really mean I should compromise my values right now? Oh, and it's so easy to do, and little by little, so these little compromises of the self, if we don't catch it there, that's when it turns into neglect of the self. And neglect of the self is really where you'll see these visible symptoms. You're irritable with your loved ones, even though you're trying to show up for them. You're short with your staff. You feel kind of jangly all day because you didn't sleep well and then you fueled up on caffeine, right? Maybe it's manifesting in your body now and you have to see your doctor for something, right? And then the final step, and this is where burnout really kicks in as I see it, this is where you've abandoned yourself. And you're so far away from yourself that one of your systems completely revolts and shuts down. And oftentimes it's your physical system that maybe you have a panic attack for the first time. But it could be your emotional system really is the one that steps up. And so you're having these crazy mood swings and you can't get a hold of it and you're stressed. Maybe it's the existential crisis that you're facing in a spiritual way. Or maybe it's just your mental health takes such a dive. Right? So that's how I see it, is it starts innocently with these compromises and then neglect and then abandonment. And I think at the compromise stage, I've heard a really great analogy. So you're juggling, let's say 50 balls in the air. And you don't want to let any drop because you're a high achiever. You're mission driven. These are all important, every single one of these. And one of them is your kids' choir concert. And one of them is the quarterly report, right? They're all sorts of balls in the air. Some of them are made of plastic and some of them are made of glass. And you need to know which ones are which because it's okay to drop some if they're plastic.
Woo! Priorities.
And it's not, oh, my kids are my priority. No, that's too vague, right? Because you're already making compromises every day about your family and kids, if we're honest with ourselves. So is it, I'm going to spend 15 quality minutes with my child every day, and that is a non-negotiable glass ball to me? Or is it, and maybe it is like they want help with something and you don't have time to give. And you're like, you know what, in the grand scheme of things, that's a ball I'm dropping today. And you don't want to, and it hurts. But you can't hold the ball in the air.
Yeah. Wow. I love that.
I wish I
And
could
I'm
take
even,
credit. I don't know where I got it from. So if anyone knows, I think it's just out there on the internet, right?
it's okay. Well, on an elevated podcast, we'll give you the credit, okay? Because we didn't know until you just gave it to us. So, but
Stand on the
this
shoulders of giants. That's all I do.
this is what I love, and this is what my imagination goes to while listening to you speak. There is a potential that a glass ball can also turn into a plastic ball.
Sure. It's up to you.
And and because depending on what it is that we're dealing with, right? One of our sons, our youngest son, he will not be watching this, but his brothers may check this out. But he's coming to me on Saturday. He says, Dad, he's been wanting to start. We used to do natural body butter, natural soaps. That was a business that we had done, and we just, when we moved with everything, we just stopped doing it. It was called Love Lathering because we made natural soaps and different things like that. So thank you. So we stopped. So he'd been saying since December or January, excuse me, I want to pick it up. I want to do the business. He's 11-year old. And I said, what do you want to do? And he's like, the butters. I want to do the body butters. And so the original reason why we got into the body butters is because he has eczema and that stuff was really expensive. And I didn't want to put all the chemicals and all that stuff on his skin years ago. And so I said, this got to be something that I can make. So I'll get some raw butters, do some things, whatever. And he has started using that. So he has a personal connection to this. So he comes to me on Saturday and he's like, Dad, I want to look it up. I want to do this. I want to do that. Now, mind you, I have to speak the next day. We had the book launch. We had everything's going on. It's a lot of things going on there. But my son is there like, what is it that I need? And he even had a birthday. He saved money. He wants to invest. This is going to be his business. So I'm I'm juggling these balls, Doc. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay. Then this is what got me. He talked to my wife and he said, it seems, I could get emotional. It seems like me and Dad's meetings keeps getting pushed because it's not the first time that he made that decision. And at that point in time, something that was a plastic ball that I was juggling, because okay, I get you, I got what you're doing, but Daddy's still trying to do these things now. It now became a glass ball in midair for me to realize that this is bigger, and now some other things get to go ahead and bounce or fall away. And so I'm listening to you and I'm saying that in Elevation Nation, I think it's good for you to do the self-assessment because just like the weather, the season can change. But if we're not tapped in with what we're juggling, if we're not realizing that, and if we haven't had the proper rest, I could have snapped and made it about, oh, well, he's 11 years old. He doesn't do this. Or I could have flipped on my wife and whatever. But I was able to listen and sit with that and give him the time. So again, I feel like you're picking up the vibe, Doc. So I'll tag and let you in. But that's something I just wanted to share.
I love that. That took me to like a video game where, sometimes something's blinking and it's fine, but then when it blinks faster, you have to do something with it or it's going to explode. And so kind of just always scanning for what's truly important to you in your environment.
Yes. And that gave me life. That gave me power. That gave me energy. And something that I thought was going to drain me, it actually filled me up because I looked at it as a task like, oh, I got all these things to do. No. That was life having a conversation with my son that says, Daddy, this is what I want to go ahead and do. And you see the excitement and you see the things. So sometimes the divine God, source, life, beauty, whatever you want to call it, will give you these glimpses and has been trying to give you a glimpse, but we've sometimes structured those glimpses out. And we got to sometimes leave room for those divine moments that will give us a glimpse of love, a glimpse of joy, a glimpse of peace. So I don't know if that's for anybody else but me, but if it's for you, you can leave a comment and say, that's for me. That's for me. That is for me. All right.
Love it. Love it.
Good.
That's so beautiful. Thank you.
My pleasure. Doc, you say that you mentioned it like leading from your core and some of the things that I was reading and looking at. So like what do you mean? What does that mean for you? Like what does it mean for a leader to lead from their core
Cool.
amidst that overwhelming?
Yeah. Fundamentally, I think our one overarching purpose in this lifetime is to figure out more and more who we truly are. not who we've been conditioned to be, not the norms of society, but truly on the inside, who are we and what are we doing and why? And it's a lifelong pursuit and it changes over time. So, really leading from your core, the fundamental is you're always trying to know, first and foremost, who are you? And so then from there, it's things like, what is my available energy right now? And let me be honest about that, right? So, to your point earlier, am I giving 15% out there because I'm so drained, right? And there's nothing left. So leading from what energy I actually have available. And of course, doing all the things to cultivate it and cultivate the vitality. Has to do with truly understanding how your inner compass works, what your values are, how they can be in conflict with each other. The values that you think you have, but are actually the ones that have been instilled in you by someone else. And it's okay that those aren't actually your values. You need to know what they are. What
Yeah.
motivates you? What are your drivers? And then there's sort of big P purpose that belongs in there. And so we start with the energy and knowing your inner compass, and then from there we turn to the outward, which is what responsibilities have you taken on in your life? Which relationships are you in your life? And then on top of that, your goals and your desires. And so if you're truly leading from your core, there's an alignment inner to outer across all of these things. And
Mm.
and overall, it's about really, being a sovereign being and knowing these things and you having your actions match your inner thoughts and your beliefs, or adjusting your inner thoughts and beliefs because sometimes they're not serving you.
Yeah. I love it. Elevation Nation, please get a pen and paper out if you don't already have it. This is the time of what Dr. Katie just dropped right there. We call it mic drop moments because that's something that you should go back, write down, and not just write down, but look into that, look within and see what's surfacing from what she just shared right there. I know right there that it hit me. It pricked my heart to kind of sit with those things, leading from the core. I'm trying to make sure that I'm aligned for me, aligned with the divine. I'm making sure that my actions, as a matter of fact, Doc, you might be, I think you'll be proud of me because what I realize is when I have this thing that I've been doing for about 2 weeks. So I have what I call like my inner tugging that I write down. I have it in my notes on my iPhone. And when I get up in the morning, I read it. Okay. And after I read it, I have some affirmation statements that go from there, and I take some deep breaths. I make sure I'm good. I do my little body
Mhm.
scan to make sure that I'm aligned, and then I go out within my day. Now, in the middle of the day, I also in that same document, I have questions. I have questions for decision making. So if something hits me and I'm kind of like, I don't know how I feel about this, and I don't have a huge time, I have questions like, is this aligned with your it? Is this like asking me these questions that help me make sure that I'm continuing to do that. And then before I go to bed, I pull out that same document. And when I'm laying down, I say, were my actions aligned with my inner tugging? Did I feel like, this was done in love and joy, so forth and so on? Was there any performance based things that weren't presence based for me? And then if I'm checked off in all those things, I get to breathe and lay my head down at night knowing, okay, at peace, that I release goodness, greatness, awesomeness in the world and I'm good. And if not, it's okay because now it's still reset and I'm able to be conscious as to what it is that I get the opportunity tomorrow to get up and do. And so that's for anybody that can have that as a strategy, but it's really been working for me to stay focused with the ADHD and everything I got going on. I got 50 things going on. I got everything going on. I'm so full, but at any moment I'm like, okay, let me pull this out. Okay, I am aligned. This helped me to lead from my core. So
I
just want to
love
share.
that. I think that practice, with the bookends and the middle checkpoint, I can see why that is so effective, especially when you follow it and have the discipline to do it. I would say it's a form of rest. Circling all the way back. That's like a built-in rest
Mm.
point. So in the morning, it's about alignment, but that midday check-in is a rest point. And then actually the last one, I would call it downshifting. It's an activity that you do
Mm.
as part of your evening routine into deep actual sleep.
Yeah.
So yes, everyone that's listening, get your pen and paper and rewind and write down that practice. And maybe you want to make a worksheet out of it and send it out to your listeners
Okay.
because
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think there's some mileage to be gained out of that practice, certainly.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's just been super, super helpful with that because again, I've experienced burnout, and I think in our world, it's so easy to, as I say, get distracted,
Mm.
because everything's is pulling on us. Everything wants our attention. Social media wants our attention. Our clients wants our attention. Our family wants our attention. Our bills and every responsibility wants the attention. Not to mention the different goals and things that we want to go ahead and do and accomplish and conquer. And so sometimes we have to just release all the exterior things, all the external things, and just get back to center and just see what is the main thing. I love what you said. You know, it's like my soul assignment. It's my area. Like, am I really aligned with that? And if I'm aligned with that, then all these other things will be added. And I think that's sometimes hard to believe when we live. I don't even know if we would call it a microwave generation. It's even faster than that when we want things super quick with the addition of AI. So sometimes it's realizing that some stuff is okay to put in a crock pot because it's it's
Yes.
it's going to taste a lot better.
Yes. It's got to percolate. It's got to incubate. It's not ready yet. Calm
the
down.
crock that crock pot mentality. Okay, can we use that at some point in time? Okay, I
I
look. I could.
love that. The veggies
I
and rice are still crunchy in there. Don't eat it
Yeah.
yet. It needs some time.
Listen. Yeah, absolutely. Right. I love it. I love it. Okay. All right. So, two practices, Doc, for any leader who wants to start today to help build that burnt out proof lifestyle, that those habits. What would be two practices that we can do today?
Today. Oh, I think tying into I want to put a nice bow on our theme in here. Get a good downshifting routine. Downshifting would be a series of activities, large or small, that take you out of work mode and into life mode, or out of daily mode and into relaxation sleep mode. So for some people, it could be playing a song at the end of their workday. And during the length of that song, they sign out of all their apps, they shut things down. Maybe there's a mindset shift that says, hey, thank you, technology. Thank you, messages. I'm off for the evening. I will answer all of you in the morning. Right? Just like telling yourself, like, this is how this is going to happen. You know, for me, I need movement in my downshifting routine. I think I have maybe a blog post about downshifting. I'll have to look and see. I might have something I can send you, Christian. But it's come up with your routine. Like, what helps you really put an end cap on your workday so that
Mhm.
it doesn't creep into your life, so that you're truly doing other activities that you want to do. And, you know, how do you wind down for a restful night's sleep? So I'd say that's practice number one. Um, what do I want to say? I think really I would do a plug for mindfulness and all the different ways and techniques you can find to cultivate a clear headspace. So whether that
Mm.
is a traditional meditation practice, and there's so many kinds of meditation now, right? Like guided meditations, there's wonderful apps. I actually have a channel, free channel on the Insight Timer platform, that's workday meditations, but um,
Yes.
uh, I think any entry into mindfulness and meditation to help cultivate that clear headspace, because although the physical stuff is very important, you've all heard it before. You know, you need to eat better. You know, everyone knows all the things, right? But what mindfulness can help you do is it puts a tiny space between whatever stimulus is out there and your response. And
Wow.
in that space is where you can choose your healthy habit. You can choose a loving response. You have more options. And so mindfulness helps you slow down in a way, I think, that can be supportive of the actions and choices that you make in all the other areas if you're looking to have vitality and prevent burnout.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it, Doc. I love it. And I mean this, I could talk to you uh for probably hours. And I think that's the joy of what we do here, Elevation Nation, this conversation. You guys will see that pattern. You'll see that, and just the energy. You feel the love, you feel the passion within Dr. Katie. So I want to know where we can find you online. Where can our listeners, where can our viewers go ahead and follow you on your platforms?
Absolutely. So, Burnout Proof Leaders has a page on LinkedIn, and I think we'll link to that in the show notes. I
Yes.
would also invite anyone to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm very friendly. I like meeting new people, so don't be shy. Just send me a note if you want and say, "Hey, I heard you on the Elevate IT podcast," and I will be happy to accept your connection. We'll link to that. I did pull one of my resources that I thought your nation would like. It's called the Blueprint for Workday Wellbeing. And so it's a simple little guide that has you take a quiz to kind of see where you are in terms of your current workday vitality. It walks you through what I think are 5 pillars of workday vitality, the physical body, the downshifting, the headspace, your workday attention, and a work-life portfolio. And so I think we'll just link to that. I'm not going to say the whole name of it. I don't even know it off the top of my head. And then, of
Got you.
course, we're just at burnoutproofleaders.com if you want to check out our website.
Wow, I love it. Elevation Nation, yes, we will put the links in our notes, okay, in the description. So make sure you follow Dr. Katie as well as get those resources. Like she said, she has some meditations that are there as well. So whatever you send over, I will put those links there. So Elevation Nation, make sure that you will follow through. And we got to keep our ear out for this book that we didn't necessarily hear about that I'm kind of, hinting about, but I don't know if this is the time. Can you give us a phrase? Can we get an inside scoop as to a time frame that we could expect, or at least a topic?
Yeah, so it's called Frictionless.
Okay.
Using authentic motivation for a career of effortless momentum. And it's aimed at the high achievers who have basically conditioned themselves to work past their stopping points. And if we can learn to tap into our authentic motivation, we have natural breaks and we can tap into our sort of sustainable cadence over time. So I'm hoping I'll get it out this year. I have still some work to do on it. But how about we set a follow-up date, and when I'm ready to talk about it, maybe I could come back on
No problem. Absolutely. We can do that. Do you have a list out there like that we can sign up so we can I don't know, okay. So if you give me that link, we'll put that there.
I'll send the link. Yes.
Thank you. Okay. See, Elevation Nation, y'all see, I'm always looking out for you. Always looking out for you. Okay. So I love it. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your journey, your transformational insights with us, Dr. Katie. You are amazing. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Elevation Nation, as you already know, family, thank you for showing up, for tuning in. If you have not already subscribed yet to this podcast, this is your opportunity to go ahead and hit that button to go ahead and follow and subscribe. If you have not already written down or clicked the link, then you can go ahead and pause this and go ahead and click the links to make sure that you are getting everything that Dr. Katie had shared with us. All right, be sure to join our email list for updates, book releases at IamChristianFJohnson.com. And if you haven't grabbed the new book, this is your opportunity as well. When you are speaking but still silent, reclaiming your voice in a world that rewards performance over presence. And so we want you to know that the Amazon link is available for you. And guys, we actually hit bestseller this past week. So congratulations, because you can only do that as a team. So it's because of who you are. So please, 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 there's a lot of information for you. Go back, watch this over again, pause it, reflect, and just get all your, and then don't be selfish. Share it with somebody else. Okay. YouTube makes it easy. All the listening platforms make it easy. So go ahead and share this wisdom that Dr. Katie has shared with us. All right. So may good, great, and awesomeness continue to flow to you and through you all week long. And until next time, be blessed.